this video, we're separating the facts from the hype and exploring whether AI-focused ETFs could be a wise choice for investors. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Welcome back, guys. Today we're talking about AI, and who isn't these days? But we're not just going to talk about the tech buzz. We're going to dive a little bit deeper, maybe into a strategy that goes beyond this hype and the individual stocks. You see, there's kind of a gold rush happening right now in the AI landscape, if that's what you want to call it. But there's countless companies, thousands of them, fighting for the spotlight here. And let's face it, we know that not all of them are going to strike gold here. And it's giving me a little bit of deja vu, kind of around like the EV and cannabis stock surges that we saw. So dare I say that a bubble could be forming? Do you think that ETFs that feature AI could maybe be a safer play for investors, Thomas?
It's possible. AI is the next wave of technology, but AI as an investment thesis is a bubble, I think. AI isn't really a new market that will exist outside of the current tech one, but one that exists within it. There are opportunities, but I wouldn't go chasing names just because they say AI. And you're giving some, comparisons to EV, and EV is the same. The automobile market's not growing, but EV is taking it over. So there's opportunities in that, but you're not going to go bet on automobile growth because EV.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Thomas made a really good point, Laycee, and I think you also brought up the part about the cannabis stocks. And Laycee, you're too young to remember the life before the internet, which that makes me feel old, but that's a separate discussion. But Thomas, you can relate to the early years of the World Wide Web and the dial-up connections and the limited functionality. And it's not a perfect comparison with AI, but there's an element of that's true, is that AI is not a finished product by any means right now. It may seem like it because of ChatGPT and other things, but it's not anywhere near where it's going to be. And just like it took until Web 2.0, where all the killer apps existed, that all of a sudden everybody went, aha, now that's something that I not only want, but I'm willing to pay for. We're not there yet with AI, but we're getting there. And some of those under the radar names today will be the NVIDIAs of tomorrow.
Let's shift back into the ETFs here a little bit. Guys, what are you thinking? Are ETFs a good way to get exposure to AI? Are they safer plays? Thomas, you had written an article on MarketBeat that features 3 ETFs that you saw that you believe have promise to them. I want to dive a little bit into that here. What can you tell us about those?
Now, ETFs are certainly a viable way to get into the market. You get some great exposure to different sectors, and investors that like to do funds and ETFs. AI is a good sector to get into. But my first glance wasn't real promising, because all I found were ETFs filled with high-risk micro cap and small cap names that I've never heard of and will probably never, ever have revenue or earnings. But when you dig a little bit deeper, some better things will turn up. And 3 that stand out for me are the Roundhill Generative AI and Technology ETF, Wisdom Tree Artificial Intelligence and Innovation Fund, and Global X Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF. Now, these funds have some varied holdings, but some of them overlap. They have some differing approaches of how to invest in AI. But the takeaway with these funds is that they're focusing on AI infrastructure, blue chip tech, and long-term AI innovation, not just the hype of, oh, AI. All 3, by the way, include NVIDIA in their top 5 holdings, and NVIDIA just cemented its place as the foundation of AI with its recent earnings report.
So, Chris, what are your thoughts around this? I know you like to see revenue and earnings for any investment. So are AI ETFs a viable option?
Yeah, Thomas stole my thunder a little bit, but I have nothing against ETFs. In general, I like them. It's a great way to get exposure to a whole sector. In this case, AI, and you get to manage your risk. Like Thomas, I like those 3 ETFs because they focus on not just where AI is, but where AI is going. And like I said, AI is not a finished product, so that's good. One caution I have is that, again, they do hold some of the big names that you would expect. But again, investors should be aware that the stocks in the fund, some of the stocks in the fund, are those little known small cap names.
Right, Chris, I want to stop you here. You said it yourself. Doesn't that help, though, with smoothing out the bumps in the market or those small caps, especially for the investors with a lower risk tolerance?
Yeah, it can. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against owning small cap stocks. You know, many of those companies will represent the future of AI, but as Thomas mentioned, earlier, many of them won't. I mean, some of them are not, or most of them are not profitable. Some of them will never get to that stage. And that raises another point. And this, I understand this may just be me, but frequently what I hear when I hear people talk about investing in ETFs, why they favor that as opposed to investing in individual stocks, is they say, well, it takes a lot of effort and research to keep up with individual stocks, but a fund can hold dozens of stocks. And I mean, I know there's a fund manager who's watching out and watching over the whole portfolio, but it's still your money. And as we've said, some of those companies are going to be spectacular winners and others not so much. So ultimately, you're the one that's responsible for what you're investing in. And that's could, and I'm only saying could, make these ETFs a little more risky at this time, more than just maybe owning one or two of the best names and calling it a day. And if that is a point of view that you agree with as an investor, the Wisdom Tree ETF may carry less exposure, at least from what I've seen in its holdings, to some of the riskier names, or you can still just find companies like an NVIDIA in other technology-focused ETFs.
Chris, it sounds to me like we just discovered your risk tolerance here.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Fair to say.
All right. Well, Thomas, before we were talking before the shoot, and you had mentioned a very unlikely AI play. I want to hear about it.
Right. So I agree with Chris that there are a lot of ETFs with tech and AI exposure. The same names that you find filling Chat, WTAI, and AIQ can be found on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and many other indices. So my question is, what is AI going to help? Efficiency and sales. The sales that will be most affected are consumer sales. IoT will be affected. AI will help bring about the internet of emotions, where computers are able to really manipulate what you do and make you buy things. But the point is AI services. AI will benefit services the most, and consumer services are where, really the money's to be made. So for me, the sleeper play will be the XLY Consumer Discretionary ETF. And this is really why here. About 50% of this fund is Amazon and Tesla. Amazon and Tesla are both highly visible consumer discretionary names, but Amazon is also AWS, which is cloud and AI infrastructure. And Tesla is just the technology factor, the Elon Musk factor. They're doing EVs, but also self-driving cars, which is AI. They're going to aid computer vision. They're working on their robot. That's all about AI. So I think that, the discretionary ETF is a good place to go and put some AI money.
Now, Chris, I see you nodding and smiling over there. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on the XLY as a play on AI?
I like it. Obviously, it makes the point that I was trying to make above. You want to buy companies that are leading the way in AI, and there are other funds, and this is one of them. I agree with Thomas. I like the Tesla. I like the Amazon angle. What I also like is seeing names that maybe investors aren't thinking about. They're like McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, even Starbucks. These are companies that have been using AI a long time before AI really became cool and ChatGPT made it cool. But Domino's and McDonald's, they've been referred to often as they're they're tech companies that also just make fast food. And AI is the reason for that.
Right.
They've been using AI for a while. Domino's famously said, the Super Bowl this year, they talked about how they used AI to be able to make their order flow that much more efficient going through things. So that's the interesting thing about that fund, is that, again, it's an AI play, but it's doing it in a different way.
Yeah, right. I think I might have a new consumer related AI pick now that you've mentioned the restaurant stocks. I'm going to have to say Chipotle Mexican Grill. Their CEO has been leaning so hard into.
You're right.
The Chipotlanes are driving digital sales. I think that AI could enhance that company for sure. So that's a good play right there, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take that most people aren't thinking about, those companies like that. But we want to hear from our viewers. We know that the talk around AI is everywhere. So what is standing out to you right now as an investor? Are there angles you're watching closely that maybe we didn't touch on? Let us know. If you found our insights valuable today, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more insights. Thank you for joining me today, Chris and Thomas. We'll chat soon.